Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a review of swatches and also a tutorial on the look that I am wearing using the new palette by Sigma Beauty. This is the Warm Neutrals Volume 2 palette. If you are interested in learning more about this palette and also seeing a review, swatches again, and tutorial on the look that I am wearing, please keep on watching. And please, if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. It's the little red button under this video. So let's go ahead and get started. Sigma Beauty recently launched their second volume for the Warm Neutrals palette, which is this one right here, and here is what the inside looks like. I feel like this palette is very beautiful. You get your like lid shades, you're setting your brow bone palette, and then you get these warm tone shades and some pops of color. Really beautiful palette. So you can pick up this palette at sigmabeauty.com. You do get 12 shades in this palette and you get a net weight of 0.47 ounces. This palette does retail for $39. Some of you guys may know I am an affiliate with Sigma Beauty, but I did buy this palette myself and wanted to do a review on this palette. They did not send this to me. This video is not sponsored, so I did pay for this palette myself. They did actually send me the Warm Neutrals, the first one, a few months ago. And this is what that palette looks like. If you want a side-by-side, I can do a side-by-side for you guys. The top one, which is volume 2, it has more color in it. I'm actually gravitating more towards the volume 2 than the 1. I have used the 1 and honestly I'm not super impressed with this palette just because I feel like the colors are really light. I did try creating looks with like these are really light on me in my crease and stuff like that. Like I couldn't really get them to really show up on my lid, so this palette's actually too light for me. But for somebody that likes really light tone shades on their lid and not so dramatic looks, I think this would be a good palette for you. But actually, I just like the second one better. This is the new one that they just launched. I like the pigmentation on this. There's pretty much no kickback at all. And as you can see on my eye look, the pigmentation is there. So I actually really like this palette. Again, I used the first impressions on this palette. The first Neutrals one was not good. I don't really reach for this palette, but I definitely see myself reaching for this palette, especially for every day. I just feel like the shadows in this palette is just more pigmented than the first one. So I would actually recommend you guys picking this one up instead of the first one, unless you want just some like a wash of color onto the lids. Definitely pick up the first one, but if you want some shades that will look good on your eyelids and will blend out and the pigmentation is there and you're gonna get the shadow that you see in the pan, I recommend volume 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this palette for you guys. I'm gonna start with the top row, of course. So this first shade is called Humble and it's described as a warm antique white, almost matte. I do see some like little specks in it, so that's probably why they say almost matte. Really soft and buttery shade. Hopefully you guys can see that. And perfect for setting your eyeshadow primer, setting your brow bone. Basic shade that you need in an eyeshadow palette. The next shade is called Charmer, and that's described as a ballet pink frost. The next shade in this palette is called Beaming, and that shade is described as a gold pink champagne shimmer. All these shades are really light, so they're just really perfect for lid shades. And this next shade is called Toasty, and that shade is described as a golden beige, so this one would be good for like a crease shade. So this is the first row. So the first shade in the second row is called Bittersweet, and that shade is described as a bright copper shimmer. And this is what I have in my inner corners. Next up is the shade Henna, and that shade is described as a milk chocolate raspberry matte. This one's a really beautiful transition shade. This would also look really pretty as just like a smoky, like brown eye. Really pretty shade. This next shade is called Iconic, and that shade is described as a brown burgundy shimmer. This one is really pigmented. And the last shade in this palette is called Rogue, and that is a bold berry red matte. This one is really pigmented as well. The first shade in the last row is called Passion Fruit. Passion Fruit is described as a crisp, neutral pink matte. Ooh, this one's pretty. This one will be pretty for the crease also. The next shade is called Russet. It's described as a smoky eggplant with fine pink glitter, and you can definitely see the glitter in it. But again, it's really fine, so it's nothing super crazy. The next shade is called After Hours, and that shade is described as a deep and smoky, warm, matte brown. This actually reminds me like of an olivey shade. I don't know, it kind of has like, maybe not. In the pan it looks kind of olivey, but it looks dark brown kind of. Huh, that's a little different. I thought it was an olive shade, but I guess not. And the last shade in this palette is called Fool's Gold, and that's described as a gunmetal with intense gold glitter, and you can definitely feel the glitter in it when you put your finger in there. It's just a really beautiful shade, and that's the shade that I applied on my lid. So my first impression on this Warm Neutrals Volume 2 palette was a thumbs up, honestly. I did not find that there was powder like kickback when applying my brush onto the shadow. I did find that I do have a few of the lid shade onto my face, so you might want to do your eyes first if you're gonna use Fool's Gold onto the lid, because it does have fallout. But all the other shades that I used anyways did not have fallout. I would recommend Volume 2 again from Volume 1. Volume 1, my first impressions were not good, to be honest, but Volume 2, definitely a thumbs up. Definitely recommend this palette. You will really like this palette. The pigmentation is really nice. And again, I am an affiliate with Sigma Beauty, so if you're interested in getting 10% off, I will link my code down below so you guys can check that out. You can get 10% off if you pick any Sigma products. I hope you guys enjoyed this review and swatches, and if you would like to see a tutorial on the look that I am wearing, just keep on watching. So I already did prime my eyelids and set them as well. I just set it with my face powder. So again, I'm going to be going with the Warm Neutrals Volume 2 Eyeshadow Palette by Sigma. And the first shade I'm going to be taking is the red shade right here, which is called Rogue. And I'm going to be taking a fluffy brush. This is the Sigma E40 Tapered Blending Brush. It's a really nice, like, fluffy blending brush. And I'm just going to be dipping it a few times and applying it in my crease. I'm really going to smoke this out. As you can see here, I dipped it a few times and it's like so pigmented. It's a really good palette, pigmentation wise. You do want to start with a little bit at a time, especially with like bold colors and red. That way you can blend it out as you're applying, because if you start with a lot at a time, then it's better to apply a little bit at a time and build up than apply a lot at a time, and then to blend it out, it's kind of harder and sometimes doesn't go very well. The next two shades that I'm going to be applying in my crease is Henna and Russet. And I'm going to be taking a Coastal Scents Classic Blending Brush. You guys know it's my everyday favorite brush. If you've been a subscriber of mine and watch a lot of my videos, you know that I love this brush. And again, this one I'm actually applying on my crease just to deepen up the crease here. And I have a smooth transition from my lid shade to my brow bone. So I'm going to be applying this greenish, like goldy shade right here, which is called Fool's Gold. But I'm going to be taking this NYX Black Bean Jumbo Eye Pencil and just applying it onto the lids because I want like that shade to be on top of black just so it pops a little more. So I'm just going to be applying it onto the lid just messily because I'm going to blend it out and blending it out with my finger. I'm going to be really careful, especially if you have your foundation on already. When I blend it out with my finger, I do bring it down sometimes on the lower lash line, so you want to be careful. If you want to not risk it, then you can just use like a synthetic flat brush. So now I'm going to be taking Fool's Gold right here with the Sigma flat brush. It's an E55 brush, and I'm just going to pack it onto my brush here. And I'm just going to tap it onto the lid. This color is beautiful. And this brush really allows you to really pack on the color onto the lid. It's a really nice, thick dense brush. So I want to make sure my lid and crease is well blended, or there's a smooth transition. I'm going to go back in with Henna and Russet, the first two shades I used in my actual crease, and just blending it out, the edges out. And this will also help to deepen up the crease a little more. I'm going to go in with this pencil-ish brush from Coastal Scents, and I'm going to take the shade called Humble, and it's the lightest shade in this palette. I'm going to be applying that in my brow bone. And then going in with my fluffy E40 brush, going back with the red shade, and just kind of blending this out again and making it more red. For liner, I'm going to be taking this Urban Decay 24/7 waterproof liquid eyeliner in the shade El Dorado. I'm not sure if they still carry this, but I will link something similar down below. So I'm going to be applying my mascara and lashes off of camera. So for mascara, my favorite, the Essence the False Lashes Mascara Dramatic Volume Unlimited. And for lashes, I'm going to be taking these ones right here, and they're from Velour Lashes, and I believe they're called Flary Godmom or something like that. And I'll be doing those off of camera, and I'll be right back. Now I'm going to be lining my waterline, and I'm just taking this ColourPop black pencil. I'm just going to be applying this to my waterline. Now I'm going to be taking a pencil brush. You can take any pencil brush, but this one is the E30 by Sigma. And I'm going to be mixing the two brown shades, which is Henna and Russet. And I'm going to be applying that really closely to my lash line. And then to blend it out and smoke that out, going back with my fluffy brush with the red shade called Rogue. And just smoking the bottom out. And the last shade I'm going to take in this palette is this one right here, which is called Bittersweet, with my flat shader brush. Again, I'm just going to flip it and use the other side. And I'm going to be applying that in my inner corners. And then just finishing off this look with a few coats of mascara to the lower lashes. For my lips, I'm going to be lining my lips first with this Pop Beauty Pout on Point lip liner, and it's in the shade Tawny Tease, and it just comes in like this triangular tip right there. So I'm going to line my lips with this and also fill them in. Then on top of it, I'm going to be taking this NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Praline. I hope you guys enjoyed this review and also tutorial and swatches on the new palette by Sigma, the Warm Neutrals Volume 2 palette. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!